All right, good morning.
Hey, hey, good morning. Good morning to you.
My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. Welcome to our show. What's going on, Arthur?
Oh, man, not much. Thanks for having me. I'm Arthur Lyle, man. I appreciate you for having me.
Anytime, anytime. So listen, you were holding in one of your, in a few of your posts, you're holding a book. Whose book is that?
Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill.
No. Beside the other one.
Oh,
You
besides,
on your post, The Cutting Edge.
oh, that's my book, actually.
That's your book. Okay. That's what I thought. So we're gonna talk about that. So let's dive into Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. How did you get started, and how are you utilizing it in your life?
Yeah, so actually, I'll say about when I first kind of fell into this personal development, it was by accident. I was invited to an event from a friend, one of my clients. I'm a barber. I've been cutting hair for 16 years professionally. And so what happened was somebody had invited me to this event, and there was a guy there that was doing a book signing, and his name was Dennis Kimbrough, and I just happened to buy his book just because he was there. And I think I have his book here too. He actually finished Napoleon Hill's writing, for it's called Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. So I got that book, and it was so thick back then. I wasn't interested in reading. I was like, I was just grateful. But then I fast forward about 5 years later. I was looking to open up my own barbershop, and I was just looking for answers all over the place. Really didn't know where to look, and for some reason I just started Googling things about successful people, and Napoleon Hill started popping up all over the place. And then I was like, and I started hearing this Think and Grow Rich, and I was like, I think I got a book called something like that. So I was dug up all of my boxes, and I found that old book of Think and Grow Rich from Dennis Kimbrough that I found at that conference. So then that's kind of, I read that book. Then I went to the original Napoleon Hill book, and I've been swarmed in his writing and his teaching ever since. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I originally came across Napoleon Hill. I started
That
hearing
is awesome.
Les Brown and Tony Robbins, all these guys talking about him. So, that's how
I actually met Les Brown this weekend.
really,
He just gave it a speech at the event that I was at. It was pretty cool. Pretty
oh,
cool. I mean, he's getting older, but man, that guy brings it on. Like
feels
on
good.
the stage, he was on fire.
Yeah,
Like, he'll let you have it. He doesn't play around.
yeah,
He's not joking. He'll let you have it. So
yeah,
it
most
was pretty cool, interesting. It was my first time meeting him in person. I've watched a lot of his videos, and he's got that one video that he did in, I think it was in
the Georgia
Atlanta or Georgia in the Dome.
Dome.
Yeah. So I saw that, and I'm all like, man, this guy is pretty cool. So he's done a lot. He's a big fan of Napoleon Hill
Yeah.
and Napoleon Hill's philosophy. So let me ask you a question. When you initially started searching and you started reading the book,
Mhm.
what were a couple of the principles that popped out to you that you're like, oh, I got to utilize this for my business?
So it didn't catch me right offhand because, again, I was looking at it half empty. I was looking at it like it's a big book and it was too much to consume. But what did catch me originally was just the goals, the goal principles. And I was like, I was always a big dreamer, but so I'm like, that kind of stuck with me on goals, like how to achieve your goals. Because I'm like, I have all these things and goals that I want to accomplish, these big dreams, but I really didn't know how to accomplish them that way that I thought was possible. And the blueprint that he has in Think and Grow Rich, and it tells you exactly how to do it, with that burning desire and actually writing them down and from there you actually take action upon them. So, by him being so direct and talking about like your goals aren't gonna come true unless you actually write them down and then you actually start, even if you're not ready. So those are the principles that really was a shift for me to start getting what I wanted.
That is nice. So how did you come up with your book? What inspired you for you to become an author?
So it's a funny story because I always knew I had a book in me, had a whole bunch of books in me just because of my upbringing. But I thought that I would write a book years down the line, like when I'm old and gray, and that's what I always envisioned as me as an author. But I was at a hair conference in Bronner Brothers in Atlanta one year, and there was this lady that was actually teaching on how to write a book. So I attended, and she was like, I must have stuck out to her. And she said, well, why don't you write a book? I was like, I will, you're way late. She's like, why don't you just do it right now? I was like, I don't got nothing to write about. So she really honestly challenged me. And then my thing is about challenges. I'm a competitor. So she challenged me to write it now. And then that's just really honestly how I ended up getting into writing. And I just finished my second book over the last weekend. So I wrote a book in 24 hours, 48 hours. So kind of got the hang
That
of it.
is awesome. So your first book what is it? Is about all the hairstylists? Is it about cutting hair, or is it about how to run the business side of it?
So it's not necessarily about hair. It's a transparent story of me, how I shift my struggles into success, through the industry of barbering. It's not really telling you how to cut hair, but I just use one industry, with one brand, one opportunity, and I just kind of made a shifting change and stopped making excuses from my past and accepting them with, direct focus and goals, and started accomplishing things for myself. So that's what
That is awesome. So what is the name of the second book, or you're not announcing the name yet?
No, what I will on here, and I haven't even told my social media following yet that I have a second book, but it's called Win the Day: How Small Wins Can Make a Big Impact for a Super Life. So that's the second book called, and I wrote it in 2 days, and it's very impactful. Got a lot of tips, a lot of goals, strategies, and there's a lot of habits of like winners and the successful mindsets and stuff like that. A lot of principles that I've actually read and learned and honed from the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich book as well.
That is awesome, man. How do you do that? You know how many people are going to be surprised you wrote a book in 48 hours? Listen, everybody's going to be jealous. They're like, well, can I do it in 72? Like, can you come down and teach us how to do it in 48 hours? I mean, once you gather all your thoughts, once you have the content, once you know what you want to say, and if you're clear on it, I mean, it's just a matter of just putting it together. It's not that difficult. It's just that a lot of people, it takes them time. There's a process for them to gather all their content in order for them to be able to kind of unload, their whole entire concept or whatever it is that they want to publish. So that's pretty cool. What are one or two things that's difficult of being an author? What are the two challenges that you think authors face?
I think one of the most, so a lot of people think it is hard to write a book, but I'm gonna tell you what's more challenging is how to market your book, because books don't sell themselves. So you have to become a salesman, a student of sales, and a student of marketing. And that's really the hardest part of being an author, is allowing yourself to find your voice and speak it, with confidence. Because the moment you become an author, you become an instant expert, right? So you have to speak at that level as an expert in your industry or your field, or whatever you're speaking upon. So, most people don't have the confidence to speak it just because they finished the book. They don't see the perceived value that everybody else sees in themselves. Like Les Brown always said, sometimes you got to believe in somebody else's belief until your belief kick in. So you have to have that belief and actually just stand by it. And I think that's one of the best things that, that we have to, that's the struggle that we go through as authors, that we have to overcome to actually get your message out there. So that's what
He actually mentioned this weekend, that was very profound to me, was that, his son, for whatever reason, wasn't on the right path and had lost his path. And because of Les Brown's influence in others and him surrounding himself with a lot of successful people, his friends actually reached out to his son and helped him out with many, many different aspects of his life. So it goes back into exactly what you just said, that, by doing one thing, you realize a lot of things about other things. And you surrounding yourself with successful people, you don't know where the help is going to come from, but you know that the help is going to be there when you need it.
Exactly. You accomplish a problem and you find a new problem, and you got to get over that next hurdle. The one thing that I found out is that, especially in the book of Think and Grow Rich, I understood was that you can't expect anything for nothing, right? So like me personally, like I'm on a journey to make $1 million in a year, and what I realized is that to be able to do that, it doesn't matter if you want to make 100,000 a year, 50,000 a year, or $1 million or 10 million. You have to put in the work. Like Napoleon Hill says, you can't expect something for nothing. So you have to put out in the atmosphere whatever efforts, you have to earn it before you receive it. You reap what you sow. So in other words, for me to want to gain $1 million a year, I have to literally put out $1 million worth of value in the atmosphere and be the best at what I do to make others see that perceived value for me to earn that income. So you have to be able to enunciate that problem, because you have to go through the pain to get the pleasure.
I agree with that. Awesome. I 100%. You got to put in the effort. Listen, when you don't have the money and you don't have the capital, the only thing you got is your work effort and hard work. If you got the money, obviously, there's so many authors that they just go dump in a lot of money, they publicize it and everything else, and you sell your books. But if you don't have the money, then you got to put in the hard work. That's just the way, that's the way I understood it. I don't know how everybody else gets that, but to me, it's like, if you're in a foundation stages, then that means you got to outwork everybody else. Yeah. And this balance and everything else, there is no balance. You just work till it gets done. And once it's done, then it's done. Till then, there is, you just work through things out. So maybe you got to patch things up here and there with friends, families, other things, church commitments, whatever. But you got to definitely prioritize what you want and go after it. Everything else, eventually everybody's going to believe in you and they'll know why you did it. So to me, is you got to put in your effort. But definitely send me the picture of the cover of the book. Send it to my team. Let us definitely promote it on our IG so that way people know where to grab it if they want to go on Amazon or anywhere else. But I know you're very busy. I appreciate that you taking out the time today to be with us. Hopefully we'll get to do this more often.
Sounds great. I appreciate you having me on. I'm very grateful to be on your live. And many and continued success to you and your followers. And I'm grateful. And anything I can help, I love to be a part of your team because I support the Napoleon Hill and the Foundation, what he represents, because it's been in me that burning desire and the whole mastermind thing. It's like been fulfilling to my life and my business and my barbershop and my team. So I'm grateful.
Definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the offer. We'll be in contact. Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care.